everyone, it's Toby here from Full Time Media, and today we're doing something different. We're doing a preview for UFC Freedom 250 rather than just the interview format that we're famous and loved for. But before we introduce our special guest, I just had some housekeeping I wanted to get off the top. So firstly, feel free to leave a 5-star review if you wanted, and to leave some comments and reach out to me if you have any ideas or anything with the show. Trying to build this so it's not just Toby talks MMA, but Toby has sports guests on and chats with them about like anything in regards to sports. So if you have a neighbor that represented Australia for lawn bowls in the Olympics or something like that, like feel free to reach out and send through a message to the page at Full Time Media. And so we can keep this building and keep this growing. Anyway, that's the admin done. I'll introduce our guest. It's our first ever guest that we had. He's our first return guest as well. It's Chris Power. Chris, how you doing, man?
Oh, mate, living the dream. Thanks for having me again.
All good. Last time we spoke, you were talking about going on a holiday and everything. So that's all done?
Yeah, been back in the gym for about a month now. So, trying to get skinny again, trying to build up the cardio again. But it was a nice break. It's been good being back in the gym and, ready to get back in there and put some leather on people again.
Yeah, and I was reminded because you shared the story with Conor McGregor and whatnot that you don't just train MMA, you're a fan of this as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Really exciting landscape at the moment. Like with a few of the UFC cards that have been announced that are awesome, but like the Eternals that are coming up too are really cool. Just it's a really exciting time to be a fan of the sport.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. So Eternals on tonight, but this won't be released until after the Eternals done. But Eternals looking pretty good as well.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and wrap up. Friday night's like a big night for me for training, and that's when I do a lot of my sparring. We have an open mat on as well, so like I get a lot of rounds in there. But I'll be trying to wrap that up as early as possible so I can get back and get into Eternal.
Are there many featherweight fights on? I haven't really scouted the card too much.
Um, there's not a heap, and like because featherweight to me, it's normally the most populated weight class. So if you look on a card, quite often you'll see 3 or 4 featherweight fights on there, but not this time around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't recall thinking, oh, this is a card I've got to watch because there's likely to be a future opponent on there.
Yeah. Then the next one though, hey, because like there's Jet Fisher
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Jesse Swain.
Jesse Swain.
Yeah, and our last video we did, I released a clip where you were talking how you'd fight anyone and whatnot, and I felt like the kid in the playground that was like starting a fight between two people because I released that video, and then Aiden Gould was
Yeah,
commenting saying he's sharing it, tagging Eternal. He's keen as to fight.
yeah, definitely. We've even had the matchmakers sort of reach out to us about that one. We had like a few other offers. I haven't got anything concrete yet on what my next fight will be, but that was definitely an option that came in as well. Was Aiden Gould. So like I know he's chomping at the bit for it. I feel like I had some better options come in though as well from that. So it's not to say that won't happen, but it doesn't look like that's what my next fight's going to be.
Yeah, something down the line.
Yeah,
Awesome. So let's crack into the UFC. So we've got the Freedom 250 card coming up next Monday. What are your thoughts on the event?
I think it's a stitch up that it's on a Monday for one, but lucky my boss is a fan of the UFC, so that worked out pretty well. He suggested that I should put in for some time off, and I was like, oh yeah, if we're not too busy, I should get time off. He goes, mate, I'm approving your leave form. Like you're definitely getting that morning off. We'll go watch it. But apart from that, it's going to be a super exciting card. I think a lot of people aren't very happy with this card, but that was based on how Dana and a lot of the UFC staff were talking up how big it was going to be, and it was just going to be top to bottom with title fights
Yeah, Donald
and
Trump said that. He said it was going to be the best thing we've ever seen, and every fight's going to be a title fight, which I think then took away when they announced the card, and people were like, "Is this it?" But like any
mm,
like fan knew that that wasn't like a possibility, right? Like they're not going to have
yeah,
all their title fights.
that's going to ruin the next like a couple
Rest of
of
the year.
pay-per-views before that, or not pay-per-views, but there are the numbered events. It's going to ruin a few before that and a few after that where you've got no champions that are ready to fight now.
Yeah,
So that
I thought
definitely
it.
wasn't going to be the case.
Yeah, I thought it'd be a possibility where they kind of do the route with the BMF, where every fight they'd make up some bullshit title.
Yeah, okay. And that would have been cool too. They definitely still could do it with like all the fights that they've got down here. There's
Yeah,
enough star power on there with it, but I still think it's an awesome card and a lot of interesting matchups on there. Looking at the odds, I actually felt like a bit of a prick as I was writing notes on it because some of these I'm just like, it wasn't like, oh, here's his strengths, and just weighing up like a prediction. I really had to push to try and, for one person, I was like fighting to find reasons why they might win the fight, but I was like, I just don't think this person can. And I felt like I was maybe being a bit of a prick there and I was just favoritizing the other guy. But then you go look at the odds, and I think those guys are tipping it a lot harder than what I was. So
yeah.
it's going to be
There's
an
a
interesting event.
I think there's some juicy odds in there, but yeah, I think we're
Yeah.
probably, and I reckon there's two fights where the odds are very bang on to like the heavy favorite should be a heavy favorite.
Yes, definitely. But then on the flip side of that, as I was finishing out, like doing all my prep for this card, one of the things I thought of is some of those underdogs on there. What an opportunity they've got. So while they might have been brought in to for someone else to build their name off, and they'll
Mm.
be able to get an awesome win on this UFC White House card, which we're probably never going to see a card like this again. So that's going to be. It's not just a win on their record. That's probably worth like 3 wins on normal numbered event or fight night event. Like it's going to propel them so much further forwards. But
Yeah,
if one of these underdogs pulls up an upset on this card, that would be massive for their career too.
yeah,
And like we see upsets all the time. So that I think that'd be really interesting if we see uh like a Kyle Dawkins walk over a Bo Nickel or something. Like he's going to be
mm.
the man moving forwards now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like, well, for example, the Rufy Chandler fight, it's kind of set up for Rufy to become that superstar that he was intended to be. Because I personally would
Definitely.
have had Rufy versus Holloway, and I would have had the
Yeah.
McGregor Chandler fight. Like, don't,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know why they've done that, but and
Yeah.
as well with this event, it's outside. I've seen a lot of Joe Rogan like criticizing it being outside. Like, do you see that as an issue? Because I thought about it, and like Rumble in the Jungle between Muhammad Ali and whatnot was outside. Like that was at an arena, and then I think about it, most sports are outside. So like,
Yeah.
you see it as an issue or?
Uh, I think it probably won't run as smooth as what the average UFC event does, but how much that's going to affect it is probably the question. And I think it's going to be negligible how much they are affected by it. Because Joe Rogan, while he's probably going to be there commentating it, he's been one of the biggest critics of it. He's like, why is it outside? And they should be building this and that, and it
He's
needs
saying
to
it's
be
100
enclosed.
degrees or whatever, but I don't know
Yeah,
if that's the case like during nighttime because it's a night event. And then he complained about the bugs, but like, wouldn't that be an issue at NFL games or something?
exactly. Exactly. Like if they can deal with it there, I'm sure the UFC are going to come up with a way to be able to deal with it there.
Yeah,
So uh, it might play a small factor in it, but all in all, I think it's still going to be quite a good event. And the fact that there's no prelims or early prelims to like they could these 7 fights that they've got, they've really got the opportunity to drag these out and make a real production of it. I
yeah,
think that is going to just give them a bit more freedom that if things aren't going as smooth as possible, they can probably try and hide it in amongst ads.
yeah.
So
Oh,
I
yeah,
still think
yeah,
it's going to be a great event.
exactly. Because that's the thing about UFC is like when it's always during a McGregor fight, I'll hear people talk about like the fight. There's no predetermined time, so they're like, oh, it could be around this time. But then that's how you can kind of tell the casual because it's every half an hour, like it's a window. So when you see a first round
Yeah,
knockout, there's a lot of filler in between and things like that. It's just
yeah,
like, so yeah, you make a great point that they can start to figure it out on the run, on the fly.
absolutely. And yeah, they don't have the tight constraints they normally would when they've got the prelims there and everything as well. Like I think they can just really do what they want this time and really milk these 7 fights for everything that they're worth.
Mm, yeah, yeah,
Um,
and like that, and I think that's the beauty of this card. That was like, not there's no even like filler fights or anything like that. They've just put
no,
7 banger fights. I think the only other card that was, I reckon, this good is probably like UFC 300 from memory.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Uh, I've got a question for you. Do you think we ever see? It doesn't even have to be a fight at the White House again, but do you think we see a UFC event that has a similar vibe to this one, where it's not just going to be held in your usual kind of arena and all these other things that are going to go with this card?
I don't think anything like this big. Like I was thinking of Rumble in the Jungle, how they had that fight in Africa and everything. It's like there have been pretty monumental events previously, but something like this, it's like the Sphere was probably the biggest step into something
Yeah.
so theatrical, and then this, it's like I'm probably just not smart enough to think of an idea that could be even top this off.
Lucky we got people smarter than us working for the UFC then.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's crack into the fights. So Steve Garcia versus Diego Lopez is the first fight on the card. What do you think of that?
That's quite an interesting fight, I think. Like you've got Diego Lopez on one side there that uh, coming off a few losses. So a lot of people are probably going to think, oh, like he's going to be down in the dumps and that. We got Steve Garcia's on a pretty good win streak there. Is
Yep.
he going to be able to run over Diego Lopez? But the thing is, Lopez's losses are only to the best. So like he's
Yeah.
lost to Volk, and what we can sometimes forget is in between those losses, he fought John Silver and got the KO there. And what he showed in that was how much he learned from that first Volk fight. Goes
Yeah.
into the second one, and Volk really just shows how good he is, because it was like, I'm fighting a better version of Diego, but I'm still better than you.
He was set to fail in fighting Volk. Like they're just rushing him because Volk would probably be like the highest fight IQ. Like he's going to be the best in a rematch where he can prepare.
Yeah, absolutely. But so like Steve Garcia is a pressure fighter. He's going to want to come forwards, put Diego towards the cage, and put his hands on him. Lopez is just such a power striker that I don't know that he's going to have as much success with that, where like he's going to be running into really big shots on the return fire there. And Lopez also has the ability to be able to fight backwards. Like he knocked out John Silver when he was being pressured like that. So I think it is a bit of a tough fight for Steve Garcia, but he's got 6 knockouts in the UFC so far. So can he do it again? Possibly. And if he can, we know he's going to be ready for anyone in that top 5, and talking title contention as well. So to me, this is a real interesting fight. And for Steve Garcia as well, if he was to have this exact same fight as maybe a headline for a fight night and he gets the win, I just don't think it makes as compelling an argument for him as if he has his fight and beats Diego on the White House card. All of a sudden, he's the new dog
Yeah.
on the block at featherweight there.
Yeah, it's a huge opportunity for him because I think he's often forgotten about because he looks like a school teacher and not even like a PE teacher. He like looks like a math or science teacher. So
Yeah,
like he's on a 7 fight win streak, 6 of them being knockouts, and he's not talked about that much. But if he can knock out Diego Lopez on this card, that like sets him up for a title fight, which he's been like. I don't mind him, but because obviously I'm biased towards Volk, he's been talking a lot of shit about Volk lately. And I
yeah,
feel like that'd be justified for him to do that if he gets this knockout win.
yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah, right now, like he's ranked number 9. That's sort of a hard sell to be throwing him in there
mm,
for a title fight and whatnot. And even being one fight away from the title, ranked number 9 is probably a hard sell. But if you're knocking out Diego Lopez and it's on that White House card, there's going to be enough hype there that, yeah, he
yeah,
could be in there, say, after Mosvar.
yeah, and Mosvar and Volk are both the only people to beat Diego Lopez in the UFC,
Yes.
and neither of them finished him. So it's a really good
Yeah,
argument if uh, if
absolutely.
if he can do that. And yeah,
Absolutely.
in my notes as well, I just got that this would be a banger fight just with how active Garcia is with strikes per minute and then how much Diego Lopez absorbs. Like he absorbs nearly 5 strikes per minute. Steve Garcia lands that. So Diego Lopez does have a chin and it could just be a really exciting fight, I reckon.
I think it will be, because both of these guys like to come forwards, and
Yeah.
they like throwing their power shots, and they're not the kind of guy who are going to throw out set up shot for 40 seconds and then they're popping out 1 or 2 big shots around.
Yeah.
Like every second exchange, they're wanting to throw a shot that's trying to knock you out. So it is going to be an exciting fight. And like you say, Lopez is just a very durable fighter,
Mm.
very well rounded. He's also got quite good grappling skills there. I do remember, I think for the first fight that Volk had against Diego, I was watching a video of Craig Jones talking about what the grappling game plan was, and he was like, "Oh, it's a shame because we had such an in-depth grappling game and no one got to see it." But Craig Jones was really talking up Diego's ground game and saying how good it was, and like we did get to see that I think in the Mosvar
Awesome.
fight because Mosvar's so dominant on the ground, but it was he definitely beat Diego on the ground, but it was still very competitive there. And there
Yeah.
certainly was a threat coming back from Lopez. So, yeah,
It sums up Lopez though, like he's an exciting striker and fighter, and that's why he's been propelled into these spots. But yeah, even in those grappling exchanges, he's finish over position, which is something that someone like yourself probably knows that's the opposite of what you're taught. But
yes.
that's why he's
But
loved.
it works for him. Yeah.
And
He's trying to almost use his finish to force you into a crap position. Like instead of getting you in the crap position, then looking for the finish. Everyone's trying to fight the position is the thing. So he's skipping that so that you defend the submission. And he's like, oh, cool, I'll go to here. Or he's throwing elbows from an inferior position so that you defend the elbows and he can escape. So uh, a different style, but very technical still, and it works
kind,
very well for him.
kind of like Tony Ferguson in that. I remember Tony Ferguson,
Yes.
Kevin Lee. It's like when they throw the elbows, and it just caused them so much, the person on top, so much grief.
Yeah.
Um,
You
so
forget you're in the dominant position for a second. You're like,
yeah,
what's happening to me?
it doesn't feel dominant when you're getting smacked in the head with elbows.
Absolutely not.
Prediction for this one?
I'd so I think I'm going to follow the odds with this one. I'm pretty sure Diego's going to get it done. I just think he's got more paths to victory. He's fought better competition than what Steve Garcia has, but I'd be very happy to be wrong in this one. And then we've got a very exciting prospect at featherweight here now. Otherwise, we're stuck with Diego and Volk for a third, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've tipped Steve Garcia in this one. I think his changes and the evolution of his game from the Onama, like I watched his fight against Choi, and he was very aggressive, very loose. He landed a lot, but got hit quite a bit. And then you watch against Onama, him utilize that pressure. I just thought there was so
Yes.
much evolving in his game. I think he's like really taken it seriously, where I think he can expose some holes in Lopez. So I've got Garcia for like maybe a round two KO.
Yeah. One thing that I think goes really well for Steve Garcia as well is he is that southpaw. And in watching the Onami fight, like Onami does like to switch, but I don't think we're going to see Diego switch. He's an orthodox fighter, and Steve does better against orthodox guys. He hand fights quite well with the lead, throws the rear with big shots there, and sets
Yeah,
up going
he's
back to the lead. When he goes southpaw, obviously that hand fight isn't there. The lead, the rear hand disappears a little bit. So I think stylistically he will match up well with Diego.
yeah, that like his lightning left hand, that looping kind of hook that he throws. I think that yeah, there's potential for that to land, and like Lopez just likes eating them, but I think you'll find out he can't. So,
Yeah, you can't eat too many of them.
all right, fight two is America's superhero Bo Nickel against Carl Dorcas. Um, what are your thoughts on this one?
So again, I even use this as my example before. I see this as an awesome opportunity for both men, but for if Kyle Dorcas pulls off a win here, how amazing would that be? I don't think he's really being set up for success in this one. Both men's attributes are around about the same, like they're similar age, similar height and reach and everything. But when you've got that wrestling pedigree that Bo Nickel has, and I think just the momentum that he's had with his career. Like he's 8-1, and like before he lost to RDI, everyone's talking about like how's he going to go with Whitaker? How's he going to go with Adesanya? And they were talking like he was already the champion of the division. So
Yeah,
he has got a lot of momentum with him. I think he did learn a lot, and we also learned a lot about him in the RDR loss. But one of the things you got to remember is RDR is one of the best
yeah.
with his
And
skill set.
RDR
So
just matches really well against him too. It's like just some people
absolutely.
match up stylistically well. It's like RDR can kind of defend takedowns, but lands so much knees where he gasses. Even Rob Whitaker was gassed.
Yes, absolutely. And the submission threat on the ground is ridiculous as well from RDR. So, like, Bo Nickel needs to land that perfect takedown on RDR to get into a position where there's absolutely no threat of submission,
Yeah,
or he needs to back out of that wrestling completely and start again from scratch. So, it wasn't a great matchup for him, but I think he
yeah,
has learned a lot from it. For Kyle Dawkins on the other end, like, he doesn't have that Dutch kickboxing background that RDR had, or the submission threat. One thing I will give him though is he pulled off that quick sub over Gerald Meerschaert, which Gerald's quite a good grappler as well. He's had matches
Is it the,
like
does he have
not in
like
the
the
UFC.
most subs in the UFC? Jared Misha? Or am
I
I
think
just made that up?
Oliveira's still got that, but yeah, maybe at
Might be
middleweight.
middleweight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very good grappler, and like he's had submission grappling matches outside of the UFC against some pretty big names. Like I know he's had one with Craig Jones, but he's quite active in the grappling world, and a lot of people do give me his flowers for his grappling. But the fact that Kyle was able to just easily submit him quite early in that fight was that's if you're a Kyle Dawkins fan, that's what I'll be holding on to as my hope in this one is that, because we know Bo Nickel's going to want to take him down at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, if he's got that really legitimate submission threat once it hits the ground, that changes the fight then, I guess, because whether or not Bo Nickel's going to want to stand with him for all 3 rounds, I don't really see that.
Yeah. He was
Like, Bo's not a slouch on the feet.
yeah, he's been given pretty favorable matchups of late in terms of like the Paul Craigs and the who's the other Rodolfo Vieira. It's like
Yes.
his people that he's fighting that are big submission threats. He's pretty safe on the feet, so
Yeah.
he can really figure out his feet. But then, yeah, Kyle Dawkins, he's not going to be safe there, so he's probably going to want to grapple. And like you said, if the submission's there, it brings him into danger either way that he chooses.
Yes. Yeah. So it is still an interesting fight, I think, and I would like to see Dorcas have some success here. Whether or not he wins, it'll just. I think one of the coolest things that we got to see for Bo Nickel was him having that loss and how he bounced back. Because
Mm.
if he just goes in there and does what he's done every other fight and just walk through people, like even at this lower level, I don't believe that he's going to be able to do that at the higher level. So we're not real. We're just kind of waiting. It's like, oh, how many more of these guys is he going to fight until he gets someone a bit better,
Yeah,
like
and
an RDR, and then you really got to see. You're like, oh, cool. This is how good this guy is.
you can't be talk like he talks a lot of crap. Like he's been
He
saying for
does.
ages that he beats Chimaev, and like you can't be just beating Paul Craig and be talking this nonsense. So
Yeah. So
yeah,
you're
it's
already the best in
at
the
some
division.
point this is really good opportunity for both guys, for Bo to show that he can beat legit guys, because Kyle Dawkins' first run in the UFC was pretty poor. Um,
Yeah.
but then because he's 4-4 in the UFC, but
Yeah.
he then he left, and now he's on a 6-fight win streak. So in his second stint, so he's 2 wins in a row in the UFC, but 4 outside of it. So he's in
Yes.
some really good form, and so yeah, that's swayed me to tip another underdog. So I'm going Kyle Dawkins in this one too.
I think I'm going to tip Bo Nickel for this one, but I would definitely be happy if we saw Kyle Dorcas get up here. One thing that I actually find interesting is neither of these guys are ranked at middleweight, which, middleweight doesn't always get renowned as one of the deepest weight classes. But when you
Mm.
got these two guys sitting outside of your best 15, like that, I think that tells you how good the 15 guys in front of them are.
Yeah, yeah. Granted, it's always been one of my favorite ones from back in the day with like Yoel Romero, Jacare, things like that. But it's always been like top 5 heavy. So
Yes.
opportunity for these guys. All right, the next one, Mauricio Rufy versus Michael Chandler. What are your thoughts on this?
Um, the biggest thing that jumps out to me is the age gap.
Yeah,
29 versus 40. Like, and for a lighter weight class, that's a big deal because there are some age gaps in some later on fights, but they are heavier weight classes, and generally you guys can go a little bit longer at that older age in the
yeah.
heavier weight classes.
Because
But
my theory on that is speed. Like as you get older, you get slower, and you need a lot of the speed and cardio in the lower weight classes. Whereas like heavyweight, that's why we see those 40-year-olds last as long as they do and whatnot. It's because like their speed
definitely,
isn't a necessity.
yeah, definitely. So, and like we look at Volk re-winning the title when he was 36, 37.
Yeah,
uh, and everyone's saying how amazing that was. And don't get me wrong, I was one of those guys saying how amazing it was, but we're talking someone that's 40. So it's like even beyond that, years
yeah,
later on. Uh, and I just think Rufy is a really bad matchup for Chandler as
yeah.
well. One of the biggest things for Chandler for me, it's so annoying that he sat out for years trying to get that McGregor fight because he is
Yeah.
a really good fighter. But you look at his UFC record and
Two
like
and 2-5.
Yeah, 2-5. I was like, oh, come on, man. Like in my head, he was such a better fighter than that. But you look at that and you go, oh, damn. But he would have had a good 18 months without fighting there while he was trying to get that McGregor match up.
Hmm.
And the guys that he is losing to are the best. Like
Yeah.
his most recent one was Paddy Pimblett. But before that, you got Gaethje, Poirier,
Hmm.
Oliveira. Like he's losing a really good guy. So he is still quite a good fighter, I think.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
I think his path to victory in this one, like the reason he's losing is because his game plan just goes out the window and it's just like he's just entertaining. Like he's here for money and entertainment. That's why I'm shocked that he wasn't gifted that McGregor fight
yes.
because
Um,
he's just such a company man. And I think his only path to victory against Rufy is if he can take him down and grind him out, kind of like what we saw in Rufy's only loss in the UFC against Benoit Saint Denis.
Yes, no, and I would agree there. Like Chandler is quite an explosive guy, so there is obviously the opportunity anyone can get caught. I think that was really what we saw with Dan Hooker when he had
Hooker.
his debut there was how explosive Chandler is. And like I follow him on social media. I've done it since he was in Bellator. I'm not sure if you see like the workouts that he posts that he's doing, but it's like he's in the gym lifting weights and throwing around
Hmm.
medicine balls and that more than he's punching pads or anything or sparring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's mostly weightlifting and throwing tires and shit.
yeah. And so, yeah, he's got crazy conditioning in that at this later stage in his career, I don't think that's as crazy as that is. A natural 29-year-old is going to
Hmm.
have just as good conditioning, I think.
Yeah.
And talk about Rufy's one loss was obviously to BSD where he got taken down and ultimately submitted there, but beaten up on the ground as well. He used to be with the Fight Nerds, which is like one of the best gyms in the world at the moment. And at one stage, like I think, they were like 11-1 in the UFC or something like that.
Yeah.
They had a really good record, but he left that gym after that loss. Was training with Volk for his next fight. So I was actually curious because I didn't hear anything after that fight. And I was like, is he still at freestyle? From what I found, it looks like he's built his own team and his own gym that sort of everyone's just there to serve him now. That'll be really interesting because so obviously he's made a lot of changes since he's had that loss in the grappling. And whether or not it's the case, it looks like he sort of put that on maybe how his gym prepared him for that fight, which is why he's made these changes. So I think it's going to be a lot harder for anyone to do what BSD did to him going forwards in the future.
Hmm. I heard that he was really ill before that fight against Fiziev, and they were shocked that he even made it to the fight. And for him to perform like he did, like
Yeah,
I just don't see a world where Chandler wins this fight.
I know, yeah. And like Rufy's got a heap of height and reach. I think it's like 3 inches in both
Yeah,
height and reach on Chandler here. And then when you talk about like the knockouts he has got, as you said, like Fiziev and then Bobby Green before that, but not just like he went in there against those strikers and they both hit each other and there was a knockout. Like it was almost one-sided in how it went, which is not often that you see that with knockouts. Uh,
yeah,
like if you see grappling quite often, yeah, it's one dude on top destroying the other guy. But with knockouts, it's a little tit for tat normally until someone lands the better shot. But that is how good the Roofy is. Like he shut down. Like Fiziev's one of the best strikers that the UFC's got in any
yeah.
weight class. And yeah, I think that's a really bad matchup for Chandler at 40 years old.
Yeah, and it's the irony in the fact that he looks a bit like McGregor. His style is like you could silhouette him, and some people would say that's McGregor. The fact he's
Yeah.
just fighting the like pretty much the best version of a Conor McGregor in Chandler's old age is just so unfair to him.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of catching like a pre-leg break McGregor that
Yeah,
had
like the
billions of
McGregor
dollars.
now, I think Chandler would stand a chance, but
Definitely.
but fighting Roofy is just like yeah. So are you tipping Roofy KO as well?
I think so. The odds on this one are quite interesting though. Like I knew Rudy was going to be a heavy favorite, but I didn't realize how heavy a favorite.
Yeah,
This is
dollar
like,
14.
yeah, I was like, that's the level that they put Valentina back when she was on her tear,
Yeah.
fighting girls that are probably working a full-time job as well. Like Chandler's a lot better than that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like yeah, the Ronda Rousey days as well. I,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where she's paying $1.06.
yeah. Shout out to Holly Holm. That's what got me into the UFC was betting on her at like $11.
Is that how you bought the house?
So no, no, full-time media is paying for that. So last time we spoke, we were talking about personality and how fighters need to elevate their personality. So now we've got Josh Hokett versus Derek Lewis. He's got a personality. I don't know if it's his, like Josh Hokett. He's a very
Yeah.
interesting character.
Certainly. And then I mean on the other side, Derek, my balls was hot. Lewis, he's got so much personality. He's got all the personality. So I'm pretty interested for this fight. I think no matter how it goes, uh, it's going to be very interesting. And the fallout from it's going to be quite interesting too, whether we see Derek rip his pants off and throw him at Trump, or you get Hockett jumping on the mic. I didn't even realize, like, have followed him a little bit, but I didn't realize how high he's climbed in the heavyweight division. So he's ranked number 5 at the moment. If he pulls off an impressive victory over Derek Lewis, plus the momentum of it being at the White House, like he could be looking at a title fight next
Mm.
at heavyweight, which is like sort of that was crazy to me. But there's an age gap in this one, so there's 28 years old for Josh Hockett and then 41 for Derek Lewis. But with it being heavyweight, I don't think I'm going to hold that over Derek.
Mm.
And it's a really interesting fight. I think both guys definitely have the ability to finish the other person. To me, it's going to be which Derek Lewis shows up.
Yeah, the one against Paul Acosta or whatever his name was. The
Yeah,
If that guy shows up, like he just wanted a kind of a way out. He just wasn't interested as soon as he saw that there was a game plan to defend his big overhand right. He's just like, fuck.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And like sometimes he comes in and he's not the best grappler out there, but he does have some skills. You look at when he fought Curtis Blades, like he was certainly ready for the wrestling.
Yeah.
When he did get taken down, he kept himself safe enough and was patient, got back to his feet, and then ultimately he scores that uppercut knockout
Uppercut.
when Curtis is trying to take him down. So he came in with an excellent game plan there and executed it. And he's like, oh, awesome. And then someone like I think it was Sergey Spivak like comes through and just starts throwing him around like he's a lightweight. And you're like, what's going on here? I just don't think he brought the same Derek to that fight there. So if he brings the right Derek to this fight, I think he can definitely win it because Hockett is a fairly small heavyweight.
Yeah.
Like back in his wrestling days, he wrestled and lost to Bo Nickel, who's obviously a middleweight there.
Yeah.
So while he's a way better wrestler than Derek, I think Derek, just with his sheer size and the I'll just stand up attitude, could have a
Yeah.
bit of success there because we have seen him stand up against people that are way better grapplers than him before,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he's a nightmare on the feet.
That is like the meme sometimes that pops up on Instagram
Yeah,
is Derek Lewis goes, just stand up. And he like literally does. He'll be mounted and then just stand up for whatever reason.
just decides he's had enough of that. I'm
Yeah.
getting up now. So yeah,
But
I think if we get the correct Derek Lewis here, he can definitely pull out the knockout here. And we know it only takes one shot for him. And even with Hockett, like if we talk about the amount of momentum he's got, and he might want to make a statement at this event. If he comes out and thinks, you know what, I'm going to strike with Derek, or
mm,
I'm going to knock him out, I think that's a horrible idea. And that there's another path to victory for Derek is that Josh defeats himself.
yeah. Yeah, because he like Josh isn't tied to a Vasa where they just decided to swing at each other and then it becomes like a 50-50 matchup. It would
Yeah,
probably favor Derek if he just wants to stand there in the pocket and trade. if
definitely.
if he mixes in the takedowns when he does that, like I think it's a very clear path to victory for him.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
can wear him out and I think get the TKO early. So I'm going to tip Hockett in this one.
Yeah, I think that's a fair tip.
Yeah,
One thing that he does really well too, if he takes Derek down, Derek is gonna want to try and stand back up. But as he turns to turtle, Hockett's really good in that, like
mm,
in wrestling, they call it referee's position, where you're looking to lock your hands around their waist when they're in turtle and keep your hands locked, but and ultimately return them to the mat. He's really good at holding someone there and cooking them, not necessarily even looking for the finish. But like we know, Derek Lewis gets tired fairly easy.
yeah, that's exactly what stands out to me. You said he cooks his opponents. Like he's had an opponent just give up in between the end of round one, and
Yeah.
Derek Lewis is kind of you see him just get super tired and kind of give up on himself sometimes as well.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, I'll wait till the end of the round, and I'm going to get, at the beginning of next round, I'm going to get one opportunity at least to throw a right hand at you, and then he gets taken down. He thinks, oh, well, the third round, I'm going to get an opportunity to hit you with my right hand. Like, I I think Josh could, if he wants to go to that referee's position or turtle and cook Derek, he won't have to do it for very long. He will cook him. And then from there, whether he wants to, I don't want to say if he wants to strike with him, but if he wants to strike with him, he's going to have a lot better opportunity there.
Mm.
He'll slow Derek down so he can get out of the way easier of the big shots,
Yeah.
pick at him and try and find some points. But then on top of that, if he wants to wrestle, once Derek's tired, Hockett will be able to take him down at will.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
And even
it
like
is an
getting to
interesting
mount
fight.
and stuff like that, like Derek Lewis is pretty, like, I think of back on his Marcin Tybura fight many, many years ago, where he just gets mounted very, very easily. But then, like, he's
Yeah,
just so big and strong where he can usually reverse it
yeah.
at some point. So, yeah, I don't give him heaps of a chance. But like you said, it's if the right Derek shows up and if Josh Hockett fights a bit stupidly, we very well
Yeah,
could have
yeah,
Derek win.
brings a poor game plan. So I'm actually going to tip Derek in this one. I think with it
Oh,
being in the White House and how patriotic Derek Lewis is, I think he's going to show up with the right Derek this time. I think he really wants to throw his pants at Donald Trump. So I can't wait to hear what he says on the mic after a good win too.
well, even then, I think either person, whoever wins, is going to be interesting on the mic. Like, I can't
Yeah,
imagine what Josh Hockett's going to say at the White House. He's a fucking freak sometimes.
yeah, yeah. Like in the press conferences, they're calling out Alex Pereira. It's like you're not even fighting him, man. He might lose to Garn, and then do
Mm.
you still want to fight him, or do you want to fight for the belt? Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty insane. Some of the outlandish stuff that he is saying, it definitely keeps me entertained.
Yeah. And all right, so our next fight is Sean O'Malley versus Eamon Zahabi. What are your thoughts on this one?
Uh, in the last one, I said the age won't be a factor. I think in this one, age is a bit of a factor, which is going to be a shame. So we got O'Malley's 31 and Zahabi's 38. So, and Zahabi, I believe, is the cousin of Faraz Zahabi, who obviously is GSP's coach from back in the day.
Yeah,
So
I always thought it
they,
was his brother.
brother,
Yeah,
I'll have a look at that. I know they are related, and yeah,
yeah,
obviously trains out of the famous TriStar gym. But yeah, while it's hard to pick a better gym in the world, especially for game planning and that sort of thing. So they are going to
yeah,
come in prepared for this. But the things that I looked at when I looked at Zahabi, it's like, okay, he just came off that win over Cheeto and Aldo. So you look at those two and you go, oh, like he's beaten top guys. He can mix it up with the top level. But so Cheeto's last six fights, his record is 1-5. So it's not like he beat the Cheeto, like O'Malley's beat Cheeto, and that was at the peak of Cheeto's
that's what started the skid.
trajectory.
Mm.
Absolutely, yeah. And he just hasn't looked the same in any of those fights since then. So while, yes, he's got the name Cheeto on his record, it doesn't have the same weight that it does on O'Malley's record when he beat Cheeto.
Yeah,
Okay. And then Jose Aldo, he was 39. So really, when we're talking about age not being fair, that was a pretty fair fight. While it is Jose Aldo, they're both the same age. And a lot of people actually think, like, it was a close fight, but a lot of
yeah,
people think that he actually lost the fight.
yeah.
Um, you know, so I don't know that he necessarily got the record behind him to suggest that he's going to get a win over O'Malley. The other thing I like, the other thing I looked at was what's his grappling going to be like? Because for most people, I think that's going to be the easiest way to beat O'Malley because he's such a good striker. Zero submission attempts in his UFC career for Eamon Zahavi and a 0.12 takedown average, which that sounds pretty low, but I was like, I better figure out what that actually means. So that means every 15
Fight.
minutes he's trying 0.12 takedowns, or every 8 fights he attempts a takedown. Now,
Yeah,
that should probably highlight how good his grappling pedigree is going to be. Like, I'm not saying it's not good, but it's not what's at the forefront of his game. So I
yeah,
don't think it's going to be good enough that he's going to go in and take
yeah.
O'Malley down and submit him or hold him down.
It's a path to victory against O'Malley, but it's probably not like his path to victory, right? And
Absolutely not.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For me, what stood out as well was the age gap being the lighter weight class, but then as well, like he's got a very high submission defense of like 69%,
Yeah.
and against O'Malley, who's 60% accuracy as well. So that'll be like I think it's a very interesting matchup. It's probably not the barn burner that some of the earlier fights like Steve Garcia, Diego Lopez are going to be. I think it's going to be like just a really technical masterclass
Yeah.
from both guys on the feet. And I think O'Malley wins that. Like neither of these guys are physical specimens like your Roofies and Michael Chandler. Like they're really like Zahavi, just even the last name kind of gives it away that he's like a student of the game, like
Yeah.
just learns it. He's very technically sound, and O'Malley's like that as well. Where you see when O'Malley loses, it's kind of against like freaks like Marab and even Cheeto when he lost that fight. It's like against machines. I think this will be technically beautiful, but I think O'Malley's just a bit younger, quicker, better.
Yeah, I think he will edge it out. And like all the things I was saying about like Eamon, it's like these are his wins, these are his attributes and that. He still does come from that TriStar gym who are absolute masters of game planning and they've got a
Yeah,
room full of killers there. So I think they're gonna be able to formulate a game plan that's at least gonna make this fight competitive and interesting, like you were
mm,
saying, and because that's gonna be keeping away from O'Malley's power and not engaging in positions where O'Malley's going to be able to use that power. So I think it will be more that chess match where we
yeah,
probably see a decision or maybe a late KO from O'Malley once he has his opponent figured out and he can finally get him to make that mistake where he can move him into that right hand or a kick or something like that.
yeah. Because
But
round three
definitely a
O'Malley,
very interesting fight.
yeah, round three
Sorry.
O'Malley is something else.
Yeah.
Like he always seems to turn it up in that third round, and
Yes.
yeah, I think it's just gonna. I think it'll be like a Silva versus Adesanya, where there are some people that really appreciate the fight for what it is, but others think it's boring.
Yes. Yeah. Uh, I'm definitely hanging out for that one. I think it's going to be awesome. So,
Yeah,
and interestingly, these guys have both been in the UFC for the same amount of time. I thought we were going to. So, Eamon was in the UFC since 2017. And so I'm like, oh, that's 9 years. Like, O'Malley hasn't been in it for that long because I remember him coming
yeah.
in as a kid and kind of
But
just
he
steamrolling in. But no, he was in it 2017 too because then he had that foot injury where he still won the decision for
the
that
Suki
fight, but then
card.
he had a big layoff after that.
Yeah,
So yeah, long career for both these guys, which I thought was interesting.
yeah. O'Malley's one of the ones we would have grown up because he's a similar age, a little bit older than us,
Yeah,
grown up watching him, and it's like, oh shit, we're getting pretty old.
yeah, yeah. As I say, I just thought like, oh, he was in a couple of years ago, a couple of wins, bang, he was into the title, but no,
Yeah, it's a
he's
long
definitely
time.
been around for a while, so he's got just as much experience there as what Zahabi does.
Yeah, and I'm going O'Malley decision in this one.
Yeah, I think that's probably a pretty safe bet. I'd go O'Malley too.
All right, Pereira versus Cyril Gahn. What are you thinking on this one?
The odds have actually got this one 50-50, which I do like because a lot of people are giving Gunn his flowers in this. There's obviously a lot of people too, probably more the casuals that are jumping on Alex Pereira,
Oh,
but
it's jumped back. Cyril Gahn was the underdog when I looked at it maybe like a month ago.
okay.
So
That's interesting to me. Like, because again, I think it's sort of either way you can make a really good argument on who
mm,
wins this. So this is probably one of the most exciting fights for me on this card.
yeah,
But yeah, I even the guys that are in the game. So like I look at people like Chael Sonnen or DC, and some of the things they've been talking about, like they're definitely giving the edge to Cyril Gahn. I don't think what they're pointing out about Alex is probably the worst thing. Like, I don't know if you've seen the sparring footage that came out where he's working with like other heavyweights, ranked heavyweights in the UFC in the room, and they're saying, oh, he's getting hit by them far
mm,
too much. He's going to get knocked out by Garn. But like, Garn's not a knockout artist per se. And as well,
yeah,
it's sparring. So it's completely different to what he's going to do in the fight. He could have been trying out different defenses like, oh, do I want to have my hands up or do I want to try and slip and move my head and get out of the way of punches? And whatever he picked to work on that day wasn't working for him. So I don't read too much into the sparring
yeah.
footage.
And I swear that's always the footage he releases. He's always
Yeah,
got footage of him getting like beat up and whatever. Like he's
yeah,
it's almost like the opposite of what a lot of other fighters do. He's like releasing him getting hit.
yeah. Give you a false sense of security.
Yeah, yeah.
But I would actually, for power, I would probably give the edge to Pereira, which is really strange.
Mm,
And I think most people would, but on paper, like Cyril Gahn's been a heavyweight his entire career,
yeah,
and Pereira's been like down at middleweight before. But I think he definitely does hit harder. And I think he should fight like that
yeah.
in this fight. He should try and be the bully, even though he's going to be the smaller
Like
guy,
he did to
because
Ankalaev.
absolutely, yeah, and just came forwards, chopping it in with the calf kicks and that, which again, that's going to be a huge weapon against Garn because Garn's going to want to move, and even if Garn's the bully and he comes forwards and pushes you around, he's still going to be cutting angles, and if you throw back on him, he'll back off and then get back on the pressure after that. I
Yeah,
think Pereira making him feel his presence early, coming forwards and really forcing Garn to run and stay away from that power is going to be a good path to victory. And once he's got a little bit of respect with the hand, starting to chop at the calf kick, whether it's the inside or the outside, he's going to really hinder the movement of Garn. And that's probably where he's going to get like his path to victory from there via the knockout, I would imagine. Whereas for Garn, it's actually probably a similar thing. He needs to move, like I was saying. So
Yeah.
keep away from the power of Pereira. He can push him if he feels the need to, but if not, fight off the back foot, jab, jab, jab. But attacking the legs too, because Garn does a really good oblique kick and side kick to the leg, which is going to make it really hard for Pereira to plant that lead leg and get close enough to Garn to be able to throw those hard shots. So I think it will be interesting seeing how like two different styles of leg kick could influence either fighter's victory here.
Yeah, it's a real weird sort of matchup, right? Because you've got the heavyweight, the traditional heavyweight that's always been in heavyweight, but his path to victory is being mobile, fast, in and out.
Yeah,
And the guy that's moving up from middleweight to like heavyweight and then now heavyweight, he's the one that's going to be the bully. Like his path to victory is
yeah,
being the bully. So it's an interesting one who can make it work because they kind of counteract one another. Um,
definitely. Yeah, not
yeah,
in the way that you'd think it would. Who do you think is going to be faster in that fight?
I think
Yeah, that's interesting as well because I knew he would move more and he's probably better with his movement than what Pereira is. But um, yeah, like is Garn fast for a heavyweight or is he just a
Mm.
fast fighter is probably the question because he's
I,
fast
th-
against every other heavyweight.
I
But
think
now that
we
you've got
I,
that
th-
lighter guy coming up,
I think he answered that against Aspinall that he's super
yeah,
fast. Like Aspinall's a super fast heavyweight, and
yeah,
he showed that like everyone kind of wrote him off there and forgot his skill set. That he's a extremely fast heavyweight that moves like a middleweight.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that'll for me, that's probably one of the most interesting fights on the card there.
yeah. I'm gonna go with Garn because I just he was a slight underdog in the betting places I looked at, like only by like 10 cents or whatever. I think it's like $1.85 versus 95. But yeah, I think I'll go with Garn. But I think this one, I would just rather watch the fight rather than bet on this one anyway, because I have no
Yeah,
idea. And I think that's the beauty of this fight.
yeah. I think this fight is a perfect trap to lose money.
Yeah.
Um, the only other thing we haven't discussed is, do you think we're going to see any eye pokes in this one?
He's like, I've always thought that because I was always a really big Cyril Garn fan. And he's a pretty like dirty fighter, right? Like I remember
Yeah,
the elbows to the
for
back of
the
the head.
head. Yeah,
He's always eye poking people accidentally.
yeah. Even like when he had two of us rocks and like hit him with a big shot, two of us are sort of half doubles over. He cracks him with a few more, but those shots he was clearly picking. He wasn't just going on emotion like, oh, I've got to finish him. He was like picking the angle. And then he's like, oh, the best shot for me to throw right now would be a hammer fist. And hammer fist, two of us are straight in the back of the head when he's doubled over. It was like, what? But I think in his head, like it's probably just smart strategy on his part. He's like, I'm not going to get DQ'd for one shot there. Like if it's bang
Yeah.
and then I adjust the angle and I stop hitting the back of the head. So it's
Yeah.
probably him just really testing the rules there. But he has done it in a few fights. So
Yeah, the Junior Dos
um
Santos one, he like because I was a massive fan because he looks like Anthony Joshua and everything as well. Like he's kind of built like
yeah,
him, and you're like, I always wanted to see him do well. And it's just like in that fight, it was hard to defend him when it's like he kind of looked for an elbow to the back of the head and then landed shots to the back of the head when he was down.
yeah, yeah.
But
Um
it's one of the worst rules. I feel like they're never chipped on the back of the head thing. And then
yeah,
it's similar with eye pokes as well. It's like I can't believe the shit that like I guess that's just the world though. People just suck. Where Tom Aspinall is getting absolutely rinsed about quitting, and all these people on their couch just calling him like a massive pussy. I don't get
yeah.
it.
I've never been eye poked near as bad as what Aspinall was. I've probably been eye poked twice in training before, and they still weren't bad ones. But it's something. It's really weird. Like you can't describe the pain or the sensation that you get from it as any other. Oh, it's like getting hit here or there or anything. But as well, it messes with you mentally as well
Yeah,
because like getting knocked out, getting dropped with a liver shot, any of those sorts of things, you kind of like, oh, I'll bounce back from. But like the losing my sight is such a thing. Like that'll put fear in anyone, and then
yeah,
that affects how you're fighting and that type of thing then too, and just even your decision making on. for Aspinall, do I continue in this fight? And, I can't see. It's like, is this forever? Like, it's eye pokes are, I think, the worst injury that we go through in mixed martial arts, short of like massive concussions and whatnot. But
Or a
even,
leg snap
yeah,
like Anderson Silva.
even there though, like you look at how Anderson bounces back from that, and he's still fighting like 15 years after. I don't know if it's 15 years, but we'll say 10 years after the leg snap and everything. But like, what if Tom Aspinall's eye is never 100% again, or like you're Bisping now? Like
Hmm.
that's probably like to me, it's a more long lasting injury than the leg snap's definitely horrendous. I would hate. I think I'd quit if that ever happened. Yeah, I don't think you'd see me
Espe-
come back in one of them. That's
Especially as an
disgusting.
amateur in the turn off.
Oh, yeah, you really got to question your life choices if that's happening to you as an amateur.
Yeah. Yeah, but like
Um,
I can only talk to like I do light sparring, so I get sweat in my eyes, and sometimes I'm just like I can't
yeah,
wait for this round to be over. Like that voice in my head, like fuck, I'm just gonna defend here, like
yeah,
until I can wipe my eyes. Like I can't imagine someone knuckle deep in my eyeballs, and not to mention it's
yeah,
not just someone; it's one of the scariest people in the world across
yeah.
from
And you
that.
can't see him, and he's going to come and punch you now.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
yeah, fuck that. So.
yeah. Like you've probably been jabbed before and whatnot, where you've kept your eye open so you could see it, but like
Mm.
you haven't moved your head out of the way, and just even the glove hits you in the eye. Like
Yeah,
that's one of the most uncomfortable feelings ever. And
yeah,
it doesn't have to be a hard shot, and you're just sitting there rubbing your eye, and you're like, oh God, I can't see.
yeah. Even then,
It's
like,
horrible.
yeah, that has happened to me once, and like for a day or two, my eye was just hurting. It like hurt to open it and whatnot. And
Yeah,
it's like I didn't finish the round. I think I was done after that.
yeah. So I that could definitely be a path to victory for Cyril as well as the eye pokes, the back of the head, take
Yeah,
it all
not
out.
nut shots. He's done a couple of those too.
So,
Yeah.
but I
So
still think that's going to be an awesome fight. That's a hard one to pick for me.
yeah,
I think I'm probably going to lean towards Ghana, I would think too, in
yeah,
that one. But if Pereira pulls it off, that's three weight classes now, which is, yeah,
crazy.
it'll be the first ever. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then the last fight of the night, Gaethje versus Topuria. What are your thoughts on this one?
It's, this is a hard one. It's going to be heartbreaking. I think this is one of the fights as I was doing it. I felt it wasn't like here's Toporia's path to victory. Here's what he's good at. Here's maybe what he's not good at. And here's Gaethje's path to victory and his strengths in that. I really was like, I had to hunt hard to come up with things for Gaethje there because
Mm,
anything that you're like, oh, he's got a chance here. I think Topuria is either just way too good at defending that, or he's even more dangerous in that spot than what Gaethje is. So
yeah,
uh, I think I'm probably leaning Ilya for this one, but
yeah,
I would love to see Gaethje pull up the upset in this one. He kicks, which Taporia doesn't a whole lot. We have seen him throw calf kicks and a few low kicks and things there, but I think Gaethje's a better calf kicker than what he is. And Gaethje throws high kicks, Gaethje throws all sorts of things. While I think that's important for his game plan because he will keep mixing it up, that'll make his punches more effective as well. And he can obviously hurt Taporia with his kicks. Topuria is very good at countering with his hands when people are throwing kicks at him, and it might not be the first or second time. Like he'll eat a kick, he'll defend a kick, he'll move out of the way, and he just
yeah.
chills and he lets you kind of build confidence on that as he finds the timing, and then he looks to go and he counters off those kicks and things. So while like yeah, Gaethje, you should throw more kicks so that you can mix up your timing with your
Yeah.
hands and that get
But
extra
yeah,
openings.
they can't be
That's
naked
also
kicks.
yeah, that's also an opening for Taporia to get into. So I think it's a hard sell there. Now, like we're talking about Taporia's calf kick, which he used really well against Holloway.
Yeah,
They were super hard, but we didn't really see Holloway flinch or change stance or anything. What I think he did really well with that was he mixed up between that calf kick and his right hand. And
yeah,
quite often the best right hands that he was landing before later on in the fight when he was KOing Max with different setups. Early on when it was hard to get to Max, it was when he was hitting the calf, and you could see Max was thinking, oh, there's a calf kick coming, but it was a right hand instead. And that was I think, a really good weapon for Taporia. And if he breaks that out again in this fight with Gaethje, yeah, I think it could be a quick night for him, which is sad to say because I love Gaethje. I'd love to see
Yeah,
him do well in
he's
this fight.
he's one of my favorites. Like since he jumped
Yeah,
into the UFC, fighting Michael Johnston and just beating people via exhaustion, and even his losses. Like I think I think we'll be reminded at how tough he is in this fight. I think he's gonna
yeah,
like get teed off on, and then we'll be like, "That's right." Justin Gaethje like doesn't get knocked out unless it's like a million strikes. Like he's
yeah.
been absolute. Like when he started against Poirier, their first one, and who was the other one? Eddie Alvarez.
Otherwise, yeah,
Yeah, and he just showed like you can't really finish him with one shot, and then the only person that really has was Max Holloway right at the end,
yeah,
and yeah, it
yeah.
kind of skews everyone's thoughts. So I think we're in for like a more exciting fight than like what the odds say, because even Topuria is like $1.10 or something as well, right?
Yes, yeah. $1.14. I had him out there, so
Yeah,
uh, I think it will be. I hope it's going to be an exciting fight, and because you look at like the three KO streak that Topuria is on here, which like is wild. But so
yeah. It's all my favorite
uh,
fighters. He can fuck off.
yeah,
He's like Oliveira's like okay, but Max Holloway
yeah,
and Volkanovski are my two favorites.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like it definitely hurt a lot. And I can't remember what time the Max Holloway one was, but I feel like it was some stupid time in the
Yeah,
morning, like
because it was
4
in
a.m. or
Abu
something.
Dhabi. I remember that watching that at
Yeah.
like 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. I stayed up all night for that. And then I was like, oh, cool. I got to go to bed now. And I just cried myself to sleep after watching Max get KO'd. Like it
That
was horrible.
that
Um,
happens way more often than not. I feel like UFC knows who our favorites are because Volkanovski against Islam, where he got
yeah.
KO'd.
Yeah.
Izzy when he got knocked out against Imavov and
Yeah.
Holloway. It's just like you wake up because as well. I love watching the whole card. So you wake up at 2 in the morning, then you get to like
Yeah.
7:30 in the morning, and your favorite fighter's just been knocked out, and now you're just sad and tired.
Yeah. It's a horrible, horrible way to start your day off, isn't it? But like on that three KO streak that he's got there, Volk was second or third round.
Second.
Second round, okay, and then Holloway was third round. Charles was first round there. So, and like you go, oh, he looks even better at lightweight and whatnot. But Charles is someone who gets knocked down in pretty much every single fight that he's in
Charles is
and
quite chinny.
finds a way to recover. But like he's hittable, and you just can't do that against Topuria. Like he's got way more power there. So
Yeah.
I think that was why we saw a first rounder with Charles, whereas the other guys there, Volk's a better mover, so he gets out of the way of things a bit more. Max is so durable, so it took him time before he could really land that perfect shot that wobbled him properly. And Gaethje's more durable than what Charles was. So I think we are going to see it go later into that second or third round, and
And
then
then as well, we'll see what Topuria is made of with like his
yeah,
cardio because
yeah,
he is a powerful puncher. And like I can't think of that many people that hit as hard as him, like your Conor McGregor's and stuff like
yeah,
that are good
yeah.
in the fourth and fifth round with that power.
Absolutely. So it would be good to see this one go a little bit further. And like I kept to and throwing with because you get two versions of Gaethje, and there's like
Mm.
the Gaethje that shows up most of the time, and then he goes to his stool, and Trevor Whitman's like, "Dude, you're trying to kill him. Can you
Yeah,
stop punching so hard?" And like he's punching so hard that when he misses his target, he's like falling over
yeah,
because he's putting
headbutts the
everything into it.
canvas.
Yeah. So I was sitting there and I was like, you probably don't want to do that because Taporia is very good at defending and countering in that boxing. So you probably don't want to be thrown like you're trying to kill him. But at the same time, if you're just peppering with them 80% shots, Taporia is quite a durable guy. We haven't really seen him hurt yet. So
Yeah,
whether or not Taporia can sort of weather, and then set up his stuff from there, I'm not sure which would be a better path for Gaethje. I would say it's probably the be a bit more measured and throw at 80% rather than 130.
yeah,
But I think putting that in there occasionally probably wouldn't be a bad idea. And especially if he can time it well where he's catching Taporia off guard. So he's doing that hit and move, and just popping him with nice shots and trying to keep himself safe. And then if Taporia is getting a little bit greedy, he wants to come in, or Taporia is even just getting relaxed and he's going, oh, I can defend all this. And then he just throws one of them absolute tanks at him, boom, 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 and then moves again and goes back to just popping him. I think that could do really well for Gaethje in this fight. But again, like he's so open when he's throwing him like that. And as you
yeah.
say, like he's falling over and headbutting the canvas and that, like that. if Topuria is sitting there, like he's always got that right hand loaded. If he
Yeah,
is ready, he will take that shot, and it's not something that
yeah,
I think Gaethje's going to take many of.
yeah. No person can, but for me, I feel Gaethje's probably the only person that can take more than a couple of those shots.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
granted, we saw Max Holloway get knocked out by Topuria. He's just got
yeah,
crazy power. So
yeah.
I'm tipping Topuria. Like these last two fights are probably I'm probably not even really going to touch in the betting. Really,
No,
I'll just enjoy them for what they are because they are such awesome fights and interesting ones.
oh, definitely. Yeah, I think it's going to be super exciting. And again, like we talk about winning on this card, what it does for you. Like that'd be massive for Topuria if he did it. But for Gaethje, what a way! If he wins the title, I'd say he probably retires.
Yeah,
What a way for him to finish off. He wins the undisputed title,
yeah,
which would be the first time he's done that. He's won the interim twice, but undisputed title breaks Ilya Topuria, like first man to beat Ilya Topuria. He's still
yeah.
undefeated, but breaks that streak and everything, and does it in front of Donald Trump at the White House, and then
And he
says, "Catch you
loves
later,
Trump.
guys."
Yeah, he
Sorry.
loves Donald Trump. He loves
Yeah,
Donald Trump.
yeah,
So
yeah. I think they play golf together, don't they?
yeah, yeah, I think so too. And like, yeah, he like that would just be crazy for him. So that's where, like you said, is he gonna try like, and then that puts confusion to it. Is he gonna try and kill Topuria? Is he gonna fight better in the way
Yeah,
that he does when he puts 80% to his shots? But yeah,
yeah. Because most of the time, like even you look at when he fought Ferguson, and in them earlier rounds, it was a little bit sort of tit for tat, and like he
yeah,
got knocked down by that uppercut with Ferguson, but Whitman gets him on the stool there, and he's like, "Stop trying to kill him.
yeah,
Just pop him with good clean shots for me." And then those last couple of rounds, he was completely outclassing Ferguson. That was
yeah.
the start of the downfall for Ferguson.
Yeah, that punch was the last we saw of Prime Ferguson. So,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, but it's hard to say. So he's doing really well in that fight, just popping him with those nice clean shots. But with Charles, I think the recklessness was working really well for him because Charles was there to be hit, and Charles was quite reckless himself in that he was just putting himself in Gaethje's face and trying to get the clinch, land their knees, and take him down and that. And like Gaethje knocked him down twice with just throwing everything at him.
yeah,
So I think both styles of Gaethje are still very effective, and mixing them up is probably going to be the key to him being able to win this one.
yeah, it's a good point. I never really thought of that he can mix it up and maybe be that smarter pitter patter fighter early and then really open up and like headbutt the canvas if he wants towards the later
Yeah,
rounds when Tapori is tired.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I think that's going to be a really exciting fight there. The whole card is really, I'm very excited for this one. I'm happy that I got that morning off, and
Yeah, you've
I got
reminded me
a
that I need
little.
to ask for annual leave on the Monday.
Yeah, I actually got a little upset though because there's a group of us from work that we're going to go and watch the fights, and then the spot we normally go to for whatever reason isn't going to be playing the fights that day. So we've got to
Mm.
try and find somewhere that's going to put them on, or maybe we'll throw them on at someone's house. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's
so
right. You probably need to do research because not many places are going to have a Monday playing the
yeah,
UFC.
yeah. So that's a bit of a stitch up, but as far as problems to have, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah. And yeah, one thing I forgot to mention at the top was listened to this podcast. I listened to a bit of ABC News and whatnot, and they did one on the UFC. And my God, it pissed me off. Was because they were talking about the savagery of the UFC and just turned it into this huge piece about how basically Donald Trump's bullying tactics and everything like that is inspired by the UFC. And it just shows like there's a lot of this older generation that just still like they kept saying like everything goes except eye gouging, and they kept saying like crotch shots and everything are all good, but like that's not true. Piss off,
Yeah,
ABC.
absolutely. Like it's a sanctioned sport.
Yeah,
We're not talking about what it was in like the early 90s there.
yeah,
It's a very safe sport, and there's a really good argument for you to make for it to be safer than boxing in you don't have the knockdown, you can attack more targets, you got more ways to win. So it's not just that repeated head trauma there. Um, yeah, it is annoying when you hear that argument, but
yeah.
the worst part, I think, is that those people are too close-minded. Like you can't have a genuine conversation with them where you say, "I'll hear your arguments, and
Yeah,
then you
because
can hear
I
mine." And the
understand
difference
that.
is
Like,
we have experience in the sport. Like we
yeah,
actually know what we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. And I understand it. Like, I don't like seeing Chris Weidman snap his leg when he goes to kick Uriah
Mm,
Hall. Like, that
yeah,
is like haunting. And like
yeah,
and the illegal shots from Garn, I like, you hate to see things like that. Like, you want it
yeah,
treated like a sport, but like it's people that are inspired by the Bruce Lee, growing up watching Bruce Lee or Jackie Chan, all this like beautiful martial arts and stuff like that. It's like that's we've created a sport that's really about that, about the
yeah,
respect and whatnot. So yeah,
yeah,
there are things that it is brutal and savage, and people need to stop calling Aspinall a pussy for being like eye gouged and stuff like that. There
yeah,
is that side of it, so I can see their point with that. But like, just appreciate, like, they probably just don't like any sports. Like,
yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. Like, you got to look at what their interests actually are and whatnot, and then as well what their experience with those sports are. Because even if you go to like soccer is probably the one that most people, they're like, oh, if you're too soft for UFC, go to soccer. But like in soccer, there's still plenty of injuries people get there. Granted, it's not a human being inflicting that upon you
hmm,
on purpose,
yeah,
but like. When people do slide tackles, you see people's knees go the wrong way all the time, and like occasionally you see like the shin bones snap and disgusting things like that. Like
yeah,
you deal with injury and damage in every sport the same way. The difference is it's not the goal for that person to try and do it. But if you're someone who, even if like you played soccer for 20 years, you've seen disgusting injuries like that before and had to deal
yeah,
with them, and you're probably a little more desensitized to it. Whereas if you're someone who maybe like you've had kids play under 10 soccer and that's like your engagement with sport, then I can see how from a zero to the UFC is such a big jump there.
yeah, yeah. That's a great
Yeah.
point.
And like Trump's an interesting one too, in that I've heard Dana talk about early days with the UFC when they were struggling with sanctioning in certain states, but also with politicians trying to fight the sanctioning. I think it was
Mm,
like John McCain back in the day. He was repped by or he shared sponsors with boxing or something like that. So he was a big proponent for trying to keep the UFC and MMA illegal so that it didn't compete with boxing. But apparently,
mm,
Trump back in the day actually did a lot of heavy lifting, whether or not it was him himself or just through his connections. Like Dane
yeah,
would ring him and say, "Oh, we've got these issues," and he owned different casinos and things, and it was like you can run your events here with us, or he'd say, "I can get you an interview with this politician, and he can try and help you out with." Getting sanctioning in his state and that sort of thing. So it is pretty cool now that like that would have been 20 years ago or 25 years ago, like before Trump was in the position he's in now. But now that he's in there as president, and it's like, oh, he's not doing this because of the fact that it looks good for publicity or anything. This is a genuine interest of his. Like
yeah,
that was the reason he supported MMA back in the day. And
yeah.
now he's like, oh, we get to put on some fights at my house. The difference is my house is the White House. So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. Just yeah, looking after one of the boys, and you
Yeah.
get to hold the one of the coolest events ever.
Yeah, definitely. So, and like, I think you can, when you look at who's on the card too, it does kind of reflect that in that you've got Bo Nickel, uh,
Yeah. Oh, he called
like,
for Derek Lewis. He wanted
yeah,
that fight because after the
yeah,
Hokett fight, he wanted to be on the White House card, and then Donald Trump asked Dana White like, what's Derek Lewis doing? Why isn't he on the card? And then Dana's like, you know what?
yeah,
I can make this happen.
yeah, yeah. So there's quite a few on here, I think, that are going to be built up for, like, they're entertaining for uh, Donald Trump. Like, because one of the things that there's been a heap of memes made of is like when Ilya and Gaethje have had face-offs or meets with Donald Trump, and Trump's given way more attention to Ilya, I guess, because he's a fan of his fight style and everything. But they're like, oh, shouldn't you be tipping like the guy that's actually representing your country
Yeah,
here?
and the guy that loves you, he's probably got a Donald Trump poster in his bedroom and whatnot, and
Yeah.
he's just getting ignored while Donald Trump's fangirling Taporia.
Yeah, and I mean that's probably why I feel for Chandler in this one because I think he's definitely a Trump supporter too.
Yeah,
He really embodies like the American fighter. He's that high school wrestler
yeah,
and all of that. Like he's a hardworking man, but I don't think he's got a very good matchup in here for him to be able to fight
yeah.
in front of his idol at the White House.
I'd be
So
so
that
salty.
one's a
He should
stitcher.
have McGregor. My God, I
Yeah,
keep saying it.
actually, what you said, I think makes a lot of sense. Like Rufi and Holloway is a sick fight, and then you've got McGregor and Chandler. That's a sick fight. But yeah, this is what we're stuck with.
Yeah. to $1.10 fights. I'm assuming. I think Holloway
Yeah,
is like $1.20 or something like that.
I haven't even looked at the odds of it yet, but I think that is fair.
Yeah, agreed,
Yeah,
agreed. But yeah, we'll see how you're going, and we might get you on to review that card as well.
yeah, that'd be awesome. Hopefully, I got some fight news by then.
Yep.
Yeah, we can discuss that as well. But thanks for having me on. This was heaps of fun.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate your time.
All good. Thank you.